it's Cara, and today we're doing my January book haul. So I have 10 books that I bought this month. Some of them are sequels to things I read during the month, because I kind of made a pact with myself that I'd only buy the second book if I finished the first one. And some of these are books that I just heard about and thought were great. And I had a really good reading month, which I will talk about more in my January wrap-up. So it's alright that I bought 10 books. I promise. So these are in no particular order, but first off this month I picked up, it wasn't even first off this month, first off I want to talk about Psyched by Neil Shusterman. This is the first in the Arc of the Psyched series. It's been getting a lot of hype around YouTube lately. I believe it was paid promotion for a lot of people. I just picked this up because the first book finally released in Australia, even though the second book is now out in the US. And it sounded totally like my kind of thing, so I had to pick it up. This is a dystopian, utopian kind of story set in a future where all manners of death other than fire have been eradicated. There's no disease, no poverty, no natural disasters, nothing, and except for fire. And fire has kind of been controlled by really careful monitoring of the environment. Essentially, the cloud, which they call the thunderhead, has become sentient and has artificial intelligence and makes sure everything runs smoothly. But because there's no natural death, this organization of people known as psychs was introduced to act as a population control measure for humans. So they go about gleaning or killing people to limit the population. And we follow two kids, Citra and Rowan, who have become apprenticed to be psychs. And that's essentially the plot of the book. I've already read this. I'll talk about it more in my wrap-up. Then I picked up Our Dark Duet by V.E. Schwab. I talked about this last month, how I was a bit cautious about buying this or reading it because I didn't really love, this is the sequel to This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab, and I didn't really enjoy This Savage Song. It was just okay for me, and so I was a bit hesitant to pick this up, but I had the itch of completionist problems, so I did. I bought it, and I have read it already. I'll talk about it more in my wrap-up, but this series essentially follows this world, again, a kind of dystopian potential future with an paranormal undertone where monsters are born from bad deeds, specifically murder and things like that. So this is the second book in the series. I won't talk about it, but that's the general overview. I'll talk about this book more in my wrap-up. Again, here is another book that I've already read this month and we'll be talking about in my wrap-up. This is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, the first in a new Fae series, following our main character Jude, who her and her twin sister and older sister were swept away to fairyland after being murdered by their parents being murdered by a fairy royalty? No, he's not royalty. He's just in the court, the upper levels of Fae. And so this takes place primarily in fairyland, and I actually really loved this. I'll talk about it more in my wrap-up, but this is a beautiful Fae story. I am very excited for the second one. But The Cruel Prince, I bought it. I heard great things. BookTube was raving about it. I couldn't help myself. Then I bought Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan Maguire. This is a little novella technically, I believe. I think it technically classes as a novella. Following this school for kids who have gone through doorways into other worlds and have come back and have to kind of adjust. Again, I've already read this. We'll talk about it in my wrap-up. I have also recently just gone out and ordered books 2 and 3 because they're tiny. So I'm definitely going to be reading those in February, so keep an eye out on my February wrap-up and haul for those. But yes, I bought this one. Then we have Now I Rise by Kirsten White. This is book 2 in the Conqueror's saga, book 1 being And I Darken. And this is a Vlad the Impaler retelling with Vlad as a woman. girl in the first book. I believe she's a woman by this book. I have read book 1. I have owned it for a while, since it came out, I believe, but I hadn't read it. And after seeing Whitney at Witty Novels review of these books, I had to pick the first one up. And I loved it, so I also picked up this one. Haven't read this one yet. This is set for reading in February. Hopefully I'll get to it. I have a bit of a TBR planned, but I did pick this one up. I'd already owned the first one though. Then we have Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is book 1 in a middle grade series that I believe is hopefully going to be quite long. I haven't read this yet. We're into the realm of things I haven't read. And this follows a girl who I believe has been told that she's cursed and on her 11th birthday will die, but she gets swept away, so that doesn't happen. I'm hopefully going to be reading this soon. That's about all I know about it, but I heard some great reviews from Reagan over at Peruse Project and on some other people's channels of people raving about this, so I had to pick it up. And also Jessica Townsend, I believe, is an Australian author, so let's support that. Next we have 3 Dark Crowns and 1 Dark Throne by Kenda Blake. These are... Is this series got a name? No. No, it doesn't. 1 Dark Throne just came out, and 3 Dark Crowns has been out for a while, but I was inclined to pick this up after seeing Reagan's review of them, and I did. I picked up the first one, I read it, and then I picked up the second one, which is floppier than the first one, so I'm very happy about that. These are obviously the UK Australian paperbacks. And so I've only read book 1 so far. I haven't read book 2 yet. But book 1 follows these 3 queens on this island, which kind of is insinuated to be in our world but hidden and abiding by its own set of rules and has like a magic system and things. And these 3 princesses, they call them queens, but they're not crowned yet, who are triplets, all have different magical abilities and are kind of pitting against each other in a fight to the death to be queen in this kind of system that's been going on for generations and generations on this island. This is a really dark, gritty fantasy story. I will talk more about 3 Dark Crowns in my wrap-up, but I did buy both of them this month. Then we have The Thief by Megan Wallen-Turner. Again, I bought this on recommendation from Reagan at Peruse Project. I watch her wrap-ups and just end up with a huge list of books I want to buy because she talks so highly about things and has a very similar taste to me. So I always go, oh, that does sound interesting about things she reads. She's recently read this whole series, and so I had to pick up this one. This is book 1 in a, it's currently 5 books, but I believe it's still going series. And it's been out for a while. I did not realize it was this short. I'm hopeful to read this in February, but I think it might end up being March. But I did buy this. It's a American paperback and it's very floppy and I'm very happy. And then finally this month I picked up The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Originally I had a few misgivings about buying this. I was hearing it recommended by people everywhere. And I was like, oh, I'm not such a big fan of gin and that kind of story. This cover is beautiful. And finally, all the good reviews were turning me around. It's also blurbed on the back by some great people whose books I do love. And so I was inclined to give this a go. I'm always down for different race representation. I hate the word race. Different representation in fantasy stories, and this is like a, I think it's more urban fantasy, but yes, fantasy. And it's, yes, it's very pretty. And very pretty. And so I am excited to get around to this. Also all the gold here, and it's got gold in the end, like foil on the end plates, and oh, so good. This will almost certainly be being read in February. So those are the books I read, So those are the books I picked up in the month of January. I was very proud of myself. I limited myself below the amount of books that were leaving my TBR. And I read quite a few of the ones I bought this month, which I'm normally awful at doing. So I was very happy. I will have a February haul because I've already ordered a few books that will be arriving in February. And I have a lot to talk about in my January wrap-up, which you will see very soon. That will be coming next week. I am filming it right now, but you will see it next week. And other than that, let me know down below if you've read any of these, including the ones I've already read, because I would love to chat about them. And otherwise, all the ones I haven't read yet are very soon coming up on my TBR, so please no spoilers. But please feel free to chat with me down below. Otherwise, I will see you soon with another video. Bye!